If you're doing all the things in your business, but still stuck under 10K months, this video is for you. I see this all the time. Solopreneurs bouncing from platform to platform, trying every course, every strategy, and every coach they can find, and still feeling like nothing is clicking the way it should. Now, you're not lazy and you're not doing anything wrong. You're just overwhelmed with noise and what they think you should be doing. The problem isn't you. It's the mindset we've been sold. So today, I want to show you a different lens, a mindset I saw firsthand growing up around people who were building 7- and 8-figure and even 9-figure businesses. Let me take you back for a second, because this one shift might change how you look at your entire business. Now, my dad was a lawyer. He was not just any lawyer. Okay, he was a corporate lawyer. He helped people build things. These were 7, 8, and even 9-figure businesses, but they weren't flashy people. They really weren't, and they weren't hustlers. They were thoughtful, intentional, and strategic. Their biggest question was, how do we create growth for ourselves and our community? What stuck with me the most was they didn't talk about TV shows, what the other guy was doing, or what somebody posted on Facebook the other day. Gossip wasn't part of their conversations. They talked about building, investing, and asking the right questions. And they always brought in someone to help them think through the next step. That's why my dad was in the room. I mean, yeah, they knew what they wanted to do. They had the plan of action. They wanted to develop this community for people that was close to amenities such as the grocery store, the hospital, shopping, and so forth. That's what they were thinking about. And they always had my dad in the room. And my dad was the one that could tell them before they even got started, here are the things that you need in place. Here are the things that you can expect to be obstacles along the way. You definitely need this kind of person to help you with this sort of situation. And also make sure that you communicate clearly to so-and-so, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Well, they'd get their plan of action. They'd find out all the first steps that they need to do. But after that was when everything started. And as business consultants, we see the same thing. We can give you a plan of action. And one thing you got to remember is no plan stays intact once it's being put into action. We always come across those nuances that we could not plan for. And having someone there who knows the road ahead is incredibly valuable. And that's what these people saw. That's why they always sought out counsel. They could just go talk to this person, get their input, and then move forward while also bringing that person along the way so that they could stay focused and build what they plan on building. It wasn't about doing everything. It was about doing what mattered most for them, their business, and the people that they wanted to serve. And for my dad, he built his business to fund his lifestyle, his travel, his giving, his time. He had fewer clients, but he had higher quality, and he developed deep relationships with these clients. So these are things that grew as he developed more trust with the handful of clients that he had who were willing to pay him quite a bit of money to do these things that they wanted to do. Why? Because he saved them time with the knowledge that he had. So own that. The knowledge that you have and the knowledge and experience that you share is invaluable. So what does all this have to do with you as you sit there trying to grow your business to 10K months? Well, the real problem that solopreneurs face is you've been told to go all in. Build the website, send the email list, post every day, be on every platform, go live, and the list goes on and on. Build a membership, build a course, do all the freaking things. And you'll sell, and you're being pulled this way and that. Social media, website, those are all different strategies. Email marketing, social media, SEO, those are all different strategies, and that's a lot to learn all at once. And maybe you've tried all of it, but you're still spinning. You're getting clients in the door, you're making some cash, but the problem is, how do I do all of this without losing my mind? That's the question you're asking right now. I remember being on 6 platforms at once and still wondering, how am I going to balance all of this? I've got clients. I started getting clients in the door. I didn't even realize I had hit 10K months. When I was in this situation, I was like, oh my gosh, because I was so busy trying to juggle all the things, I did not even realize I hit 5K. I surpassed 5K and went on to 10K and was like, wait, when did that happen? What's happening? And then when I realized that happened, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to find the time to keep this momentum going? So what does somebody tell me? Hire a VA. I thought, okay, one more person to worry about. Yay. It's still that, I have the responsibility of taking care of one more thing in my business. But at the same time, I was sitting there just panicking over the fact that I had these clients and I still had all this stuff to do on social media. And sure, I could hire a VA, but then I have to set up the systems and I have to figure out what kind of VA I want. It was balancing way too much. And then it started pressurizing myself. And I started to just wanting to do more in order to adjust for the pressure that I was feeling. I felt like, oh, well, just do more and you'll be able to juggle all of this. That's the biggest lie I told myself during that time period. And on top of all of that, the biggest thing was the fatigue, the house, the kids, the partner, and still trying to run a business. All of those things created decision fatigue. So you're not lazy. It's decision fatigue. It's the decisions you have to make on the investments you have to make inside of your business and for yourself and for your clients. You don't need to do more. You need to do what matters to you, your business, and your clients. Those are the 3 pillars I base my decisions on. Here in just a little bit, we'll talk about some questions that you can ask so you can have some more clarity about where to invest in your business. And when you focus on what matters, that's where the wealthy mindset starts to show up differently, is when you really know what matters in your business. When it comes to the wealthy, they invest in counsel, and that's the fastest, quickest way to get your money working for you. It's not just courses and tools. They're not afraid to ask, what's the smartest move here? And they'd rather pay for clarity than fumble in circles for months trying to figure out what the smartest move is. Instead, they know that the gateway to speed is to seek counsel and find someone who is an expert in that area that they need a solution for. Now, the second thing that they look at is doubling down, and we've heard this many times, on what's already working. And that's not chasing shiny objects. That's not hopping on the next best thing. That's not following marketing trends. There are no new marketing tactics. There is a foundational aspect that from that comes your way of doing business based on your lifestyle and the personality inside of your business. What wealthy people do is they go deeper with what's proven to develop their own way of doing things inside of their business. This is, they ask questions like, okay, this is bringing in leads. How do I turn up the dial? The third thing that the wealthy mindset revolves around is using money as a tool, not looking at it as a scorecard. It's not about showing off. It's about asking, how does this help me grow, buy back my time, and create more freedom? And what that means is the wealthy, they look at growth. Money is a tool for growth. So for my dad, money was his hobby, but what he used money for were things like going and traveling and seeing the world because he wanted to learn about culture. He wanted to learn about other people, and he wanted to learn about this world that he lived in. He also used it to help his clients so that they could continue building and continue thriving. The other thing about it is, and this is what I look at when you're looking at, money is not the scorecard, is when you know what the data is really telling you. And you don't get all flustered and out of whack because your views or subscribers or your friends or your whatever the hell data they tell you to look at is tanking. Like you're not getting enough engagement on your comments or something like that on social media, or your views aren't all that great on YouTube. But do you really know what that means and what actions you can take to increase them? It goes beyond. That's why you hear there's a strategy behind the post. There's a strategy behind the video. There are little incremental pieces inside of each strategy that tells you, based on this data, this is where you need to focus. And that's how you keep the blinders on in business, is knowing where you need to focus and how to turn up that dial to get more people to see what your services are and to determine for themselves, because I believe your clients, they qualify themselves, determine for themselves if your service is something that can truly support them and they are a match for it. And you get to decide if they are truly a match for your services. Now, it's not about showing off. So remember that money is not a scorecard. Money is a tool. And the fourth one, this is the big one. This is the big one that we have a really hard time with, especially the first few years in business, because it's an ego hit. Mistakes. Mistakes. You're going to make mistakes, but mistakes are data. Mistakes are the best freaking data under the sun. Swear to God. Best freaking data under the sun. Get a bad client, get a client you don't like, attracting freebie seekers. Look at your content. Look at what the message says. Are you talking to the right person, or are you using broke girl mindset language? Are you talking to more struggle mode than you need to? So in the end, they don't spiral. They don't pivot because of mistakes. And I also noticed that they laughed about their mistakes. They almost saw mistakes as a gift. They really, really did, because the mistakes mean growth in their mind. So the real question here now, for you anyway, is how do you start applying this today in your own business? So let's sit down, get out a piece of paper, get out your journal, and really think about these questions over this week. And there's 4 questions you can ask yourself right now to kind of shift your mind a little bit around that wealthy mindset and get some more clarity about where to invest in your business. The first one is, where is my business actually making money? Write down all your cash creating events and evaluate them. The other aspect is, and I'll talk about this in just a minute, there's another question you can ask. Another aspect is you may have some money makers, but are they really contributing? Are they really giving you enough return on investment? I'll talk about that here in just a minute. The second question is, where are my leads really coming from? Do you ask your clients how they found you and why they picked you? Do you ask that? You need to ask that. That's a very important question to ask. Why me? And how did you find me? Because when you know that, then you know where to focus. You know where your starting point is to get their attention. You know how to speak to them to get their attention, and you build on that. This is the one that I was mentioning earlier when we go back to, where is my business actually making money? This one is, what's draining my time with little return. And I'm going to give you an example of this, of a business owner, very successful, had a full house, the whole 9 yards. And she had this one particular offer that was a one-off. It was about 2 hours long. It was a paid one-off, but nobody ever continued to sign up after that one-off, because she was using her one-offs as a way to generate consistent income and create more people signing up for her longer-term agreements. And she was like, oh, gosh, does this really contribute to my business? It's draining me time-wise, and I could be focusing on those that are more likely to engage with my long-term services, rather than spending 2 hours every time these people sign up to, basically spend 2 hours with them and never see them again. Whereas the other offer that she had, which is a little bit more long-term, like a week long, but it also gave her more of the ability to connect with her clientele and determine, is this somebody that I want in that higher level service that I have, that is a longer term service? Do I want this person in there? Do they have the talent? Do they have the skills necessary for that service? And then she was able to, basically cherry pick her people and start really finding out if those people were the ones that were meant for her next long-term sign up. Now, the fourth question you need to ask yourself is, what do I actually want my business to do for my life? This is a really important one, to be honest. And I'm going to use myself as an example here. When I worked in 9 to 5 in corporate radio as an on-air personality, news reporter, production director, program director, and operations manager, I was always in a box, just like I am now. This is my recording studio. Pardon the mess, by the way. I'm still developing the studio. Just moved over here. Tell me what you think about it in the comments. But anyway, little ego boost for me. But anyway, I was always in a box. In radio, you're in this box, this soundproof box. You can't even hear what anybody's saying on the other side of the window. We at least got a window to look out of. Woo! But we were there all day long. And in my case, in many cases, I wasn't just there from 9 to 5. I was there from 9 till 8 o'clock at night in some cases, because I was the only one that could do the job, or so they said. But really what it was, I won't go down that road, but really what it was is other people weren't doing the job. But you're dealing with all that in the 9 to 5. And for me as a business owner, I have the chance to be the business owner. And business owners don't fill their day up with to-do lists. They fill their day up with, how do I make this grow? How do I invest my time and money wisely today. And that maybe sometimes is just taking a step back and thinking about your business, taking a moment to say, what really matters to me and what do I want from this business? So ask yourself, what's the lifestyle that you want from this business? Beyond the money. Go beyond the money. For me, I can go, I'm moving my son here in just a few days. I can just take off and go. I don't have to ask anybody. My business is running itself and attracting clients. I can still connect with my clients while I'm out on the road because of the way my services are set up. I can also tell my clients, hey, look, this week we're going to be working Wednesday through Friday instead of Tuesday through Thursday because I'm going to be out of town. And my clients don't ever have a problem with that because they know I'm going to show up. That, I think, is the key, is giving your clients some security there and giving yourself that security to say, hey, I know I'll show up, trusting yourself, and then asking, what do I really want from this business? You don't need to be on 6 platforms. You need one smart focus point. You don't need to burn out chasing the algorithm. You need clarity. And if you're thinking, I don't even know where to start with all of that, Leah, help me out, man. Well, this next step is exactly for you. I created the 90-minute Scale Without Stress strategy call because I kept meeting some brilliant solopreneurs who were ready to grow, but were completely overwhelmed. I mean, right around 45 to 50% of entrepreneurs suffer from burnout. Wait a minute, what? We got into this to be free, to have time freedom, to have fun, to do all the things, right? But we're burned out? What the hell is happening? So to alleviate burnout, during the 90-minute session, we're going to sit down together and we're going to discover what's really working for you, what's draining you, and how to address that, and what to focus on over the next 90 days to move toward 10K months without burning yourself out. And if you want to work with me, of course, that's on the table. We'll discuss that at the end of the session, but you're under no obligation at all to sign up with me long term. Right now, it's focusing on getting you a plan of action, getting you some clarity so you know where to focus over the next 90 days. It's not a course. It's not a sales pitch. It's a real strategy session. Give you clarity, confidence, and direction. You know exactly where to focus. You know a little bit about what's ahead, what obstacles you may face ahead. That's the kind of clarity you need as a business owner, so you know where to invest your time and money. And that's what the Scale Without Stress 90-minute session provides you. If that sounds like what you need right now, the description, check it out. Link is in the description, down there in the description. Go check it out. Sign up for the Scale Without Stress 90-day session. Go do it now. I'd love to help you take the pressure off and get back to building a business that works for you.